Hello, wonderful people of the great World Wide Web. Welcome to the second episode of Season 3, and the second part of a two-part mini-series covering local rides from the spring and summer of 2024. If you missed the first one, link is in the upper left corner. In this episode, we've got two main rides left, one from Zagreb to Varaždin and a descent from the abandoned former Yugoslav army radar station Panos on Velebit, plus two short clips from a couple of other rides. So, let's find out together what's next. In the first part, join me on the simple coffee run to the town of Varaždin. It was a hot July day, so I decided to ride about 80 kilometers just for a coffee. Perfectly reasonable, right? As usual, Osman was my navigator. And as usual, we had a small disagreement. Damn you, Osman, I say it again, I'm no Chris Birch or Paul Torres. I'm just an average guy who wants to enjoy nature and go for a nice, relaxed ride. Okay, so it wasn't entirely Osman's fault. I definitely helped create this mess. First mistake, I forgot to grab some water before leaving the main roads. It was a hot day, and after about an hour on the trail, I was dry as the Sahara, which means my energy level dropped faster than my confidence. And the second mistake, during a break, I just sat down in the grass without looking. Bad idea. Turns out it was a lovely little nettle field. Burning my hands a bit. Nothing serious. I laughed more than it hurt. Probably thanks to thirst and low energy. Yeah, I know, excuses. I managed to drop the bike twice. You already saw the first one at the beginning of this video. The second drop happened right after and it was a bit more creative. My footpack clipped the dirt wall, twisted my leg backward, and suddenly I found myself awkwardly wedged between the bike and the wall like a confused beetle on its back, seriously questioning my life choices. It took some proper struggling, a bit of swearing, and a very honest conversation with myself to get out of there. But eventually I was back on my feet and back on the bike. And somehow, despite all of that, I still made it to Varaždin. I drank my coffee, caught my breath, and ended the day in the best possible way, with a great ride behind me and a story that was absolutely worth the effort. But the waiter at the first bar I hit after getting back to civilization couldn't believe his eyes. He was grinding at just how much water I downed. The next clip is just a short one from my visit to the Petrova Gora Monument, to the uprising of the people of Gordon and Banija, and the nearby underground radar relay station. No idea where the rest of the footage went, my GoPro probably ate it. I also made a YouTube short where I explored the underground radar relay station. It was a pretty interesting experience, so if you're curious, the link is in the top left corner. This was me revisiting some familiar spots from my snowboarding days in the Soča Valley in Slovenia. It's a beautiful place and one I usually love, unless you come in peak summer vacation season, like I did. For someone who hates crowds, this wasn't my smartest move. This is pretty much the only clip where I'm not riding in a traffic jam. One night in an overcrowded camp and riding in rush hour conditions was more than enough. I planned to stay 3 nights, but after the first one I was already heading home. This is the last ride of this mini-series. It's a place that's been on my bucket list since I bought the bike, but just like Lička Plješivica, I never felt quite ready to take it on back then. If you want to see the Lička Plješivica ride, the link is in the top right corner. Panos, which means alarm pole or torch. A name that fits this peak perfectly, is a peak in the Velebit Mountains, overlooking Karlobag on the coast and Gospić inland. At the summit sits an abandoned military radar station from the former Yugoslav army, once part of the same monitoring and alarm network as the Lička Plješivica station, connected to Željava Air Base, a silent relic of a bygone era. My original plan was to reach the top in time for the golden hour and grab some photos and videos. But as usual, I started the ride later than planned, because apparently this is now a tradition. So, of course, I arrived too late. With daylight fading and no desire to ride back in the dark, I decided to stay the night. I almost didn't get any sleep at all. The real challenge wasn't the sounds from the ruins or the forest. I'm used to that and it usually doesn't bother me. The problem was the very strong winds. The tent sounded like I was sleeping inside a helicopter. Still, the view made it all worth it. Watching dusk settle over the mountains, and every time I couldn't sleep and stepped out of the tent for a smoke, I enjoyed looking down toward the coast, with island lights glowing below. And then the dawn next morning made me forget all about my struggle of sleeping inside "Get to the choppa" engine. The ride down was smooth. The sleepless night did take its toll, especially in the first section, where I felt stiff despite my usual morning stretches. But after a few kilometers, my almost 60-year-old bones and joints finally clicked into place and decided to cooperate again. The morning descent itself was something special. As you can see in the video, the way the early sun lit up the forest and the mountains is hard to put into words. So let the footage speak for itself. While watching and editing this video, I noticed something I really need to work on. A mistake I have to fix, because sooner or later it could end badly. Because I wasn't confident riding close to the drop on the right, I ended up riding more to the left, basically like a Brit. And no matter how remote the road feels, that's not okay. I'm definitely not the only rider out there. I have met other riders on forest roads like this before, and all it takes is one person coming a bit faster than expected for things to turn into a disaster. Tell me in the comments, would you ride this road? And would you stay up on Panos if someone ever decided to repurpose the old military base into a hotel? One warning though, if you ever make it up to Panos, don't wander around the base randomly. Stick to the paths, because there could still be some mines left. I still had some time before heading home, so I decided to ride down to the coast and get a coffee in Karlobag. That's why I didn't take the same way back. Instead, I went for the easier route, with around 15 kilometers of unpaved road, followed by pavement that connects to the main road leading from inland down to the coast. In Karlobag, I stopped for a coffee at a bar almost touching the sea. Sitting there, watching the water, I felt grateful for being able to live rides, nights and moments like this. And then it was time to head home. And that's it for this video and this two-part mini-series. If you liked what you saw, hit that like button, it means a lot. And if you want to stick around for the next adventures, trust me, something special is coming, subscribe. Until next time, ride safe and keep exploring.